I'm just separated with my ex-husband, so I have no place to live. Just living my cousin's garage. I feel I have a future.
You have a future.
Yeah. Before I just I'm very sad. I don't know what about my future. What about my children's future.
I've been a carer for about 10.5 years now. I actually did try to stop a while ago, but then I think it just becomes part of your life. It's impossible not to fall in love with the children, but they're usually temporary with you, and sometimes they go back to situations that you're not overly excited about them going back to, and it can be really hard.
I think in order to do the work that we do, you either have to have a little spark of crazy, or you have to have a really kind of deep-seated love for the job. I was always a really socially aware person, so social work was a natural transition kind of after high school into university. And then I guess throughout my kind of university career or life, I kind of learned more about children and children's needs and families, and I guess it was just the right fit for me to kind of go into foster care and that sector.
My connection with Anchor is because I was homeless, and twice. First time I ended up getting private rental, but I was in a violent relationship, so that when that broke down, then I was back again. The second time around, not only was I through Anchor, but I had the support network of a caseworker. So I was in transitional for a while as well, so I had that longer term support, and I think that's where it helped and made the big difference in the end.
Foster care can range from a few hours to a few days to a few months, up to about 2 to 3 years. And then it kind of goes through the transition to permanent care, which is when we bow out, but a lot of our carers, still have those children in their life. So I guess for the work that I do, one of the biggest challenges is implementing strategies and supporting a child in a time-limited way that I know is going to continue on and flow on once they leave Anchor's care.
It's not just about helping people, while that's a nice thought to have. It's how do you help them professionally? So rather than jumping in and rescuing, it's how do you learn the professional ways that are really going to make effective change for this person that you're working with.
When I started, my sons were probably 10 and 12, so they've grown up pretty much doing it. The boys have been really, really good with them all, and actually seem to have enjoyed it. And I feel like it's given them a really good grounding, because they've actually gone on to do community type work. Our second child that came in, she's actually still with us, and she's permanent with us now. So she came in at 8 months old, and she's 11, and she'll stay with us forever. And our younger daughter, who's now nearly 7, she came to us at 2 weeks old. So that's a huge change for our family. We didn't expect to increase the size of our family, but that's the way it worked out, and we couldn't be happier.
One of the challenges is being able to separate yourself, your own values, your own expectations from those of a client. Sometimes you're working with people who have different values and expectations, and to be able to take yourself out of that and work with what they want and what they need, and understanding that the change is about them and where they want to go rather than where you might want them to go.
The hard work, I think, was the moving from motel to motel to start with. That's hard work. That's a real slog. My life was not going to go anywhere. I was going to be reoccurring homelessness for the rest of my life, and it was getting to that point. But even going in and doing transitional housing, I was one of the lucky ones that got into private rental, because they didn't really know where to put me and my family. We sort of didn't really fit many boxes. I wasn't a drug addict, and I wasn't doing this, and so they didn't really know what to do. So private rental was my only real option, and it worked out with the help of Anchor, of course, because they were there to support me through it. They cared, and that was what mattered, and that's what helped.
When I first started out, I kind of thought the rewards would be measured in kind of the big moments. that it would be all about, you know, seeing a child graduate from high school or getting a kid off drugs or doing something kind of really crazy. But I never realised the impact of kind of the smaller moments, and those smaller moments being seeing a child see the ocean for the first time, or spaghetti bolognese is such a common family dish, but teaching a child to swirl it on their fork, the amazement that they get from it.
Because you've got to know so many children and their families, and I think you feel worried for them, and like if we don't do it, who's going to do it? Also, it's extremely rewarding. There's a lot of pluses. It's no doubt hard work. Most foster carers will say the positives outweigh the negatives, and I think that all foster carers do a really good job.
It's not a matter of just walking in and everything's going to be okay and you're going to be handed a house and everything's going to be fine. You know, you have to put in the hard yards. It is a lot of hard work, but hard work pays off in the end. And whether that be that you get into public housing or whether you get into private rental or something else comes up, you just don't know. But you have to try everything. Absolutely everything.
It's really valuable to be a foster care in any capacity. I know a lot of my friends say, but I'm working full time, but it really doesn't matter. You could do one weekend a month, and people think maybe that's not a valuable thing to do, but it's extremely valuable because that could be the difference between a child staying at home or coming into care. Just that one weekend a month break for the parents. And also to show that child a different way. The parents that you meet, they can be never have known a different way to do things, so maybe their parenting skills aren't the best.
I remember one child that I worked with, and he was so confused by me. He was so confused that I was talking to him in a calm voice, and he was so confused that I was allowing him to kind of be himself, and I was introducing him to an adult that he could trust. And I remember when I first met him, he was so tense and he would scream at me. And it took a good probably 3 months before he would release. And I think that was kind of it was all of the trauma just built up in him, and his behaviours would gradually worsen, but that was a good thing because it kind of meant that he now felt safe and he felt secure enough to let all of the last 9 years out. He's recently been reunified with his mother, and he's opening doors for women, and he's kicking goals in life, and he wants to be a bodybuilder, and he's now 12. But no, he's very cool. He's very cool.
I remember a story that one of the workers told me that a girl came back to Anchor when she was grown up, and she'd said she'd only been in foster care for a short time, but that time just made her realise what she wanted from life, and she changed her way. She didn't follow, the way of her parents and her grandparents. She chose her own way in life, and she was really grateful to have seen that difference.
I know, speaking from a personal level, I've always been allowed to develop my own ideas and sometimes programs, and that's keeps you fresh, and it's quite inspirational to know that if you have a direction you want to go within reason, and there's something out there that you could develop and actually create, then Anchor has always supported me and others in that.
I think the stigma behind homelessness has got to change. It's not the old bum that's begging for food or money on the side of the road anymore in the city. It's anybody, and it can happen to anybody, Even though I'm in private rental, just recently my husband had a stroke, so he had to quit his job. I lost my job 2 months before he had his stroke. We sat there scratching our heads at, oh my God, is this seriously going to happen to us again?
One thing that really drew me to Anchor was, I think, the grassroots underpinning that Anchor has. It's very connected to the individual, and I kind of was scouting around at where I wanted to work and where I wanted to do, and I liked the idea that it was small, and I was really excited to engage in a community service organisation where I could actually get in amongst the community and amongst the people and actually see the work firsthand. I
have always said, and I'm going to stick by this for the rest of my life, once you find support services that are actually there and help you, that's the only way people are going to be able to change.
I'd say definitely if you think that you might like to do it, give it a go for sure.
I think that I have the best job in the world. I really do. I just hope that no one that I work with ever takes for granted the amazing young people that we get to meet and interact with every day.
My life has never looked better now.